Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just get right into it because today we're tackling what is honestly the most uncomfortable question in all of Web3 right now. If you're a founder, a dev, or a marketer in the decentralized space, you know exactly how brutal this landscape can be. I mean, you pour your heart, your soul, and a ton of capital into building something truly innovative. You map out the tokenomics perfectly, you stress test those smart contracts, you design this absolutely gorgeous UI, and yet when you finally open the doors to the public, absolute crickets. It is incredibly frustrating and isolating. So today, we're going to dissect exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how to fix it, by looking at the very architecture of legitimacy.
So why does nobody trust your crypto project yet? Just let that question sink in for a second, because the answer is going to completely shift your perspective. We tend to take this kind of thing really personally, right? We immediately assume that if people aren't rushing to adopt our DApp or invest in our protocol, it means we missed a bug, or maybe our transaction speeds just aren't fast enough, or, maybe our logo is the wrong shade of blue. We obsess over these micro details of the build, totally convinced that the barrier to entry is technical. But we need to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Well, here's the reality check. It's not your product. Period. The crucial takeaway here is that your lack of traction has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of your code. Now, I know that might sting a bit for all the brilliant engineers listening, but honestly, it should be incredibly liberating. Your tech could literally be a masterpiece, a total paradigm shift for the blockchain. But the hard truth is that 99% of your potential users can't read your smart contracts, and they certainly aren't auditing your GitHub repo. They are making a completely different kind of calculation. Which brings us to Section 1, the Web3 trust deficit and the psychology of recognition. Look, we have to explore the pure psychology of how trust actually functions in this ecosystem. Trust is heavily engineered. In our brains, unknown instantly equals risky. If people haven't seen you before, you are automatically deemed a threat. Think about it from just a basic evolutionary standpoint. Our brains are hardwired to be suspicious of the unfamiliar. It's survival 101. Now, take that primal instinct and drop it right into the wild west of crypto, a space that, let's be real, has seen its fair share of rug pulls, hacks, and vaporware. In this environment, the baseline level of trust isn't zero, it's sub-zero. If a user lands on your site and hasn't heard your name, their guard is up. Trust isn't something you naturally deserve just because you have good intentions. It is something you have to deliberately and systematically engineer. Let's look at how we get this wrong in Section 2, the product first illusion or the false belief. This is where we have to dismantle the most common mistake founders make. The myth is that you build the product, launch the token, and boom, the users just come. But the reality is that trust must be fully established way before adoption ever happens. That classic Silicon Valley mantra of if you build it, they will come, it's an incredibly dangerous myth in Web3. We see it all the time. A team builds in stealth mode for 18 months, they finally drop their token, and they expect a community to just magically materialize out of thin air. But you literally cannot ask a user to give you their liquidity to prove you are trustworthy. Actually, scratch that. It's the complete opposite. You have to prove you're trustworthy first so that they will feel safe giving you their liquidity. So let's unpack how to actually do this in Section 3, how trust is engineered, focusing on the search for legitimacy. Because if trust has to come first, we really need to understand exactly what investors and users are doing before they ever engage. Before they even think about connecting their wallet to your protocol, they are actively searching for you. They're running through a rapid mental checklist to see if you have mentions, visibility, social proof, and recognition. They are opening a new tab, Googling your project, searching your ticker on Twitter, and looking to see what the broader ecosystem is saying. And if that search comes up totally empty, or if the only people hyping your project are the people literally working for your project, that mental checklist gets a massive red X. They are desperately looking for third-party validation to lower their own internal risk assessment. And here is the exact psychological blueprint of how this plays out. It's a chronological architecture. It starts with step 1, repeated exposure. In psychology, they call this the mere exposure effect. Basically, the more times someone encounters your brand, the more favorably they view it. This repetition pushes them right into step 2, brand recognition. Okay, so maybe they don't know exactly how your consensus mechanism works quite yet, but hey, they know your name. And that recognition seamlessly bleeds into step 3, perceived legitimacy. For the human brain, familiarity is the ultimate shortcut for trust. To actually achieve that exposure, top projects make sure they appear everywhere. literally everywhere, across media, across search, across social platforms, and across the ecosystem, until people simply stop questioning them. You cannot just rely on a single viral tweet or one quick announcement in a Telegram group. You have to create an omnipresent echo chamber. When a potential investor reads an insightful article mentioning you on a major crypto news site, and then they see a prominent voice talking about your tech on Twitter, and then your white paper pops right up in a search, that multi-channel visibility completely crushes their skepticism. You are basically surrounding them with signals of your own legitimacy. All right, moving on to Section 4, PRS Trust Infrastructure, Reframing Public Relations. We are going to completely redefine a concept you probably thought you already understood. In Web3, PR is not just mere promotion for cheap clicks. It is essential trust infrastructure, where every single mention acts as a compounding trust signal. I really want to emphasize this point because PR often gets a pretty bad rap as just empty hype. But in reality, every single media placement, every guest post, every press release, that is a permanent digital asset. Think of it like a structural beam in the bridge of trust you're building between your project and the public. These mentions compound over time. The visibility you secure today literally pays dividends in legitimacy months down the line. Which leads us directly into Section 5, the visibility authority loop and sustaining relevance. Once you build that initial infrastructure, you've got to keep the engine running, right? This is where the role of distribution platforms like Web3 Newswire becomes absolutely vital. They deliver consistent visibility, connect you to trusted Web3 platforms, and keep your project right in front of the market. Because let's face it, the crypto market has an incredibly short attention span. You can't just do one massive media push at launch and then retreat back into your developer cave. You have to feed the loop. By using dedicated distribution networks, you ensure your milestones and partnerships are constantly injected into the ecosystem. You are essentially borrowing the established trust of major platforms to fortify your own. It really all boils down to this one quote: if nobody recognizes your project, nobody trusts it. It is an inescapable truth of the market. But honestly, I think it's an incredibly empowering one too. Because unlike the crazy, unpredictable swings of token prices or the constantly shifting regulatory landscape, your project's visibility is something you actually have the power to engineer. You are in the driver's seat. You control the narrative, and you control the distribution. So here is the question you need to ask yourself right now. Visibility builds trust, so are you starting to build it before you need it? Is your project visible enough right now to be trusted tomorrow, or are you still just waiting for users to magically appear out of thin air? Don't wait until the exact day you launch your mainnet to finally introduce yourself to the world. Are you going to keep building in the dark, just hoping someone stumbles upon your brilliance? Or are you ready to step into the light and deliberately engineer the legitimacy your project deserves? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.
Subscribe and visit Web3 Newswire for visibility and credibility of your Web3 projects.